Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Dameon Nelson, the man they call Meathead, here with you on Wednesday, May the 27th, 2009. What a show we've got in store. Booker T, our special guest this week in an exclusive interview. Booker T.
I was raising a roof. Holla, 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 holla.
Coming up later in this program, we've also got the Newsdesk, 2-minute drill,
like we're at
interactive,
a
tons of
Newsdesk
emails, and all that, and a lot more coming up this week on the Pro Wrestling Report. Meathead, let's go to our first story, which is Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, returns.
No.
Yes, he did.
If we're going to do it, let me check the volume on this one.
Right, yeah, all the way up 10.
If we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. Right, William? Right.
The return of who?
His name is Mr.
Mr. Kennedy!
Now you wait, don't you?
We have neighbors taping in the other studio, in Studio B.
Returning to Monday Night Raw this past week, a bit of a surprise, Meathead, part of the 5-man, 5-on-5 WWE's version of crap, which was the Denver Nuggets versus the Los Angeles Lakers.
See, you know what? I was just thinking about the match, but you know what? They made him dress up like a dog and pony show because they made him dress up in jerseys and basketball shorts. It was terrible.
Kennedy's surprise entrance, he's back. He's back. And the rumors are already out there that he injured his wrist.
I think they're just rumors to start with.
Well, it was all based on the fact that he was favoring his wrist at one point during the match. Nothing's been confirmed. Who's more injury prone, though? The question is, Kennedy or Ahmed Johnson?
Ooh, Ahmed Johnson was out for about a minute, and then he'd come back, and then he'd be out for about a minute.
Now, the question, now that Kennedy is back, seemingly thrust into the main event role in World Wrestling Entertainment, is this the right place for him? He was literally challenged Randy Orton upon his return, saying,
"Well, it's a hot return, so you got to go for the top dog." Okay, Kennedy has been United States champion. Kennedy has gone after the IC belt. He never won it. Okay,
he was Mr. Money in the Bank at one point as well.
Kennedy is the only person to ever win Money in the Bank and not have been a world champion.
Yeah, we can go with that. But so, are you intrigued by a Randy Orton Kennedy program?
I think so, because you know what? Kennedy's going to, if allowed, Kennedy's going to go ahead and work over the robot known as Randy Orton.
Here's what's smart about it. Just when you thought WWE product was getting stale, just when you wondered who Orton was going to go to next, who was that big face,
well,
Kennedy
here's
thrust
the
back
thing.
into the situation.
Here's the thing. Orton is obviously, going to have this huge program with Triple H when Triple H is ready. So really,
or is that over?
No, because Triple H has to avenge. He has to go for the belt. But Kennedy right now is going to fill the shoes of the top face while Cena's not in the mix.
Can he do it? Will the fans respond?
Depends. It's
They
up to
responded
Kennedy.
Monday night, it seemed like, and especially at the forum at PWRshow.com and the Chatmosphere when we were live on
And the old
540
forum, now
ESPN.
called the Staples Center. That was a play on words, folks. LA.
Yeah, too bad you were wrong. It was the Los Angeles Sports Arena.
Yeah.
Side of WrestleMania 7.
Yeah. But the forum back in the day was also in LA. I tried. I really did. Go ahead, right under here, Meathead wrong, Dameon right. It's a first.
Happens more often than not.
No,
I was
it
happy to
doesn't.
see him. It was surprising. And Frank Cosentino, who was watching from somewhere, we're going to play a new game starting soon. Where in the world is Frank Cosentino? He was watching somewhere. He said, "You know what? This is interesting."
Are you a fan of Frank Cosentino?
Usually.
Okay. But I mean, are you a registered
No.
fan? Missing a boat.
Don't rock the boat. Still to come, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Booker T in an exclusive interview later on in this program. It's time for the PWR Newsdesk, and this week in the news. As you know, Backlash from World Wrestling Entertainment was released on digital versatile disc just yesterday. Many people are acclaiming that DVD to be one of the best from WWE. Obviously, it featured the 3 big title changes, ECW, WWE, and World title change, along with John Cena going through a 7,000-watt light bulb. SmackDown and ECW is now going to be available in their entirety on Hulu.com. Those shows will be available the day after air on Hulu.com. WWE has long featured their content on that network, or on that site rather, which does also broadcast in high definition. Raka Khan and Shane Sewell have both been released from TNA Wrestling. As you know, Raka Khan, who had gotten into that altercation backstage with Roxy Laveau, who was released recently as well, had also been dating Kurt Angle. They are no longer seeing each other as far as we have known, or we have found out. Shane Sewell was the referee turned wrestler, who was also recently released from TNA. Speaking of TNA, a couple of new acquisitions. You'll see them all three on Impact this Thursday night. Shane Douglas, Raven, and Victoria, all now part of the TNA roster, as announced by TNA earlier this week. Last weekend, as you know, WWE had the Denver Nuggets debacle, and moving the venue for Raw this past Monday night to Los Angeles. Well, TNA, with a smart move, offered all WWE fans in the Colorado area $10 off for their shows that they were running over the weekend if they showed their ticket to a WWE event. Angelina Love is going to be appearing in a new movie with Luke Perry and Leanne Rimes. The movie, titled Good Intentions, will feature Angelina Love as a stripper. Mark Marrow is getting married again. The big day is July 1st. As you may recall, he was previously married to Rena Marrow, who played the character of Sable, who's currently married to Brock Lesnar, and has had at least one of his children. The Iron Sheik is doing stand-up comedy. If you've heard him on Howard Stern, you know how good he could be, I guess. He did his set last Monday night at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles and was backstage at WWE RAW for most of the day. However, as you could tell, not used on television. Let's move on to the next
That's
story.
an odd spot. But anyway, next story.
Let's move on to the next
Okay.
story. We were going to do it this past Monday night on the radio show. However, we ran out of time due to the extended game between the Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm not a Nugget! You did it last week. I got to do
Yeah,
it this week.
better. In depth,
On
The
who?
Miz,
Oh, no.
Mike Mazzani.
Mikey.
For those of you that don't know how he got his career start in professional wrestling, he was on The Real World. I don't remember what city, but it was on The Real World, and he would always be cutting promos in the confessional room and on the show. He had his belt that he would carry around, fairly entertaining at that time, and then made his way into World Wrestling Entertainment, where he was one of the most hated individuals for a very long time by a lot of people on SmackDown, including JBL, who took every chance he got to really pick on The Miz. From there, The Miz obviously going over to ECW, teaming up with John Morrison. And now on Raw, separated from Morrison, is The Miz, who, Meathead, we have said many a time on this program, we never really thought we would be entertained by or even looking forward to seeing, albeit minimally.
Whoa. Who said they looked
I am
forward
at
to seeing The
times.
Miz? I
am
didn't
at
say
times.
that. I didn't say
It was
that.
the day he
The
decided
Miz.
to stop saying, "Hoorah!"
Decided to be a wrestling character.
Can he make it? Can he make it as a singles competitor? We've seen him now challenge John Cena week after week. John Cena finally
5 times.
somewhat answering that challenge this past Monday night on Raw. They had a dark match where it was The Miz versus John Cena in the Staples Center this past Monday night after the television show went off the air. But can The Miz do it alone? Can he go at it alone?
Are you saying that Jomo, John Morrison, was carrying that tag team?
I think they were carrying each other. I think that without the dirt sheet, without the promos, and without their Edge and Christian-esque tag team abilities, I think that they carried each other. And I think that The Miz and Morrison was a nice combination.
Because everybody's already
Individually, though.
Everybody's already appointed Jomo, John Morrison, Mr. Bedazzle, as the next Shawn Michaels. They've already appointed him that.
There have been so many next Shawn Michaels. Jeff Hardy was the last next Shawn Michaels. You know what I think about nexts? If you're the next anybody, you're not going to be nobody. You can be the new, like Michael Bublé is the new Frank Sinatra.
Who?
Exactly.
Michael, who?
Class, get some.
Got it. Don't need it.
Can he do it? As a singles competitor on Raw?
I think if
he's seemingly being thrust, before you answer that, he's seemingly being thrust into the main event picture. He's one of the new stars they're building up. Can he carry it? Can he do it?
I think that Mike Mazzarni, is that how you pronounce his last name?
We'll go with that. Let's just call him
The
The
Miz.
Miz.
The
Or
Miz.
as JBL called him, Red Rooster once.
Yeah.
Hoorah!
Because he did have a red tint
Yes,
with
indeed.
the mohawk. The Miz, if allowed to work in the ring, which he can do, he's gotten better from the hoorah guy
He's an okay wrestler.
who could only do a handful of moves to the Miz now doing a little bit more. If he's allowed to work, then allowed to be on the microphone on occasion once in a while, and allowed to mix it up with the other guys, As an antagonist, I think he can go. As a face, I don't see it.
Okay. I would agree, but now Morrison, the face, seemingly being well received by the internet wrestling community or the wrestling community in general.
IWC, yeah.
The Miz, this one's challenging. I don't think I would have ever expected him to be in the role that he is now, which is that of being a prominent star on the Raw brand. I can't say I ever thought about it before it actually happened either, but I got to commend WWE on trying and giving him the opportunity, because there's no doubt he can cut a pretty decent promo. Is he a Rock? No. Is he a Stone Cold? No. But he can cut a pretty decent promo. He can keep the fans engaged, and at the end of the day, isn't that what matters?
Entertaining the fans. Somehow either enticing them to hate you or entertaining them and getting them to love you and appreciate you is what a wrestler is supposed to do. Ring work isn't what makes a wrestler. So, The Miz, I don't see him being... When we say making it, do we mean just making a living, keeping on TV, or do we mean heavyweight title picture or WWE
Means getting
picture?
to the deluxe apartment in the sky, high.
I don't see The Miz mixing it up for the belt, and I'm talking about the WWE or World Heavyweight, but it's definitely in play for United States and IC.
Now, when he was Hoorah Miz, did you ever see him being multiple-time tag team champion?
No, I saw him being a European champion,
That belt is defunct.
as was his career at that point.
Hmm.
Thank you, the audience.
Studio audience. Which studio audience is better, ours or the Spin Cycle audience, which is all the workers?
Spin Cycle, or are we talking Talk Soup? Because Spin
Spin
Cycle
Cycle.
come off of Talk Soup.
No. Spin
Okay.
Cycle is
But they
produced
took
by
the-
Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
Who?
TNA.
Anyways, ours is better. What we need to do is get a camera. I don't mean to segue off it. We need to
What
get a
do you do?
camera on our audience, just the one, because he's not paying attention to the show at all. He's just texting.
Oh, it's just like you.
Hi.
The Miz, we're intrigued by what you guys have to say, so go ahead and send those emails to comments at pwrshow.com, and potentially either on the radio show or coming up next week right here on this very program, we will address the Miz. Next week we'll go in depth again on another superstar on the Pro Wrestling Report on
The Boogeyman.
540 ESPN. He ain't coming to get us on 540 ESPN on Monday nights right after WWE RAW, which can also be streamed live at pwrshow.com. Speaking of pwrshow.com, make sure you check the website for the updates with the basketball season going on and the other commitments of the radio station. Sometimes we might be delayed and or moved to a different day, so we will go ahead and bring you those updates at pwrshow.com. But at this point, one update we'd like to bring you is this week's Beat the Meat. Giggity!
Beat the meat. It's time to beat the meat in front of our studio audience. Giggity. 2003 in TNA, Big Van Vader, otherwise known as just Vader, made a special run-in to save what TNA talent? 2003, Vader actually came in to save what TNA talent? Send your answers to Beat the Meat to comments at pwrshow.com. Once again, that's comments, pwrshow.com. 2003, Vader came in to save who from the TNA? Are you ready for Beat the Meat, Dameon?
Beat the Meat. Last week, we had the Gentrys.
The Gentrys
Which
was the
was
answer.
the
Jimmy
answer.
Hart's first band. Or the
And
band
this
that he
week,
was famous.
Vader, Vader had some of the best theme music, I thought, in wrestling. And remember, Vader was the man who performed one of the most heinous acts in the history of wrestling in January of 1996 after the Royal Rumble when he attacked Jack Doan and Gorilla Monsoon from Bakersfield, California on Raw. I think that might be one of the clips at pwrshow.com in the
You're gonna want
fans
to check
section.
it. You're gonna want to check it.
And,
But anyway, for any reason, we were talking about TNA on the radio show this past Monday, and I said, you know what? Let's segue on. Who did Vader save in a surprise appearance in TNA in 2003? That's the question.
question which we've already done. Thank you
Yeah.
for reiterating it.
I'll reiterate. We did the same question. We're not doing new questions.
Let's go now to the special feature here this week. Booker T is going to join us here with a video interview. He's got some very interesting discussion about TNA, World Wrestling Entertainment. Also going to talk about Sherry Martel and his organization down in Houston, Texas. So without further ado, let's go down to the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, and my interview with Booker T. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Dameon Nelson here at the Pro Wrestling Report on Time Warner Cable and 540 ESPN with the legendary Booker T, the man who invented the Legends Championship. Booker, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report television edition. Obviously, TNA right now is on a pretty high rise, a pretty steady rise. You coming from several different organizations and now being in TNA. What is it that you attribute TNA's recent surge in ratings and surge in growth to?
Probably all started about a year and a half ago when Booker T made his arrival. You know, the ratings went through the roof. Internet, just blew up. Buy rate just through the roof. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Booker T had a big role in the fans of Booker T coming from all over the world to subsidize. TNA has made a big change in as far as revenue go, as far as people watching, as far as everything here has just gotten a lot bigger. You saw my locker room how it was when I first got here. 2 months later, it was plush and palatial. So
it's opulent now.
Yeah, exactly. So Booker T has brought a lot, as well as the main event Mafia has brought a lot to TNA. Probably more than that it ever could have expected.
And you've been in the business for quite a while.
20 years.
And you've, as I said, been in many different organizations. What makes TNA different?
TNA is kind of like I would say the new heartbeat of professional wrestling. You've seen, other organizations that's been around for many, many years, and then when you see something new come along like the X Games, you tend to want to tune in and see what this thing is all about. And I think that's what the fire of TNA is really all about. It's something new, it's something fresh, and it's something that I think people are dying for right now.
And it is certainly that different product. And we talked earlier about the wrestling war, or the perceived wrestling war that everybody wants. You obviously lived through the former wrestling wars between WCW and WWE. At this point in time, TNA, a lot of people compare the ratings and the business of TNA to World Wrestling Entertainment. Obviously, that's an unfair comparison when you look at how long each company's been around.
Definitely.
But where do you see TNA wrestling 5 years from now?
Oh, man. I don't want to compare it to, like you say, WWE or any other organization that's been around for years. But TNA is like that drug that kind of like pops up and it just takes over, by storm. And I think that's what TNA true, legacy is going to be. How fast TNA became to be the biggest company in the wrestling world. Because right now I think the guys seeing how wrestling is these days and seeing the monster and seeing how this business can really chew you up and spit you out. You got to prepare and take different avenues, and TNA is that different avenue for a lot of guys like myself who still are at the top of this game, this business, but don't want to go out there and just work 300 days a year trying to subsidize somebody else's pocket. I think that's what the wrestling business is really all about. I don't think it's about going out and working 300 days a year. Right now, I work about 80 days a year, and I can do what I love to do, as well as spend a lot of time at home with my family as well.
And you're also running a wrestling organization down in Houston.
The Booker T Pro Wrestling Academy, as well as the PWA, the Pro Wrestling Alliance, the Booker T Fight for Kids Foundation. We got
Busy man.
Yeah.
You're still working 300 days a year.
Yeah, well, I am working a whole lot. But it's for not just for me, it's for other people now. I'm just trying to give back to what has given me so much, and that's this wrestling business. Now it's time for me to, use this tool that I have to, make somebody else's life a little bit better, So I'm always on the grind. Like I said, with my academy, I'm in there 3 to 4 days a week. My foundation, we're working on that all the time. We do a show every month. We've been doing that for over 2 years. And it's getting bigger and bigger, who's to say, there may be some more competition, in the wrestling business here.
Hopefully. Competition's the best thing that could happen.
Competition's good.
Word association, it's a game we like to play. I say one name or event, you tell me the first thing that pops into your head and then go as far as you want on it. Dusty Rhodes.
Showman extraordinaire.
All right. Sherry Martel.
Greatest manager of all times.
We actually had the privilege of conducting the last interview Sherry did right here on this program before her untimely passing.
Actually, I had the privilege to put her to sleep and let her go to the next life.
What Dutch Mantel?
One of a kind.
All right, Barack Obama, President Obama.
Incredible.
Stewie Griffin.
I don't know who Stewie is.
I was hoping. You never seen Family Guy?
Well, I know that's Stewie. You know, I hate that show.
Really?
Yeah. My wife loves it. You know, she watches all the cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just hard for me to watch cartoons from a serious standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know why, with how crazy and how, you know, funny and dorky I am at home. And I just don't get off into it. I'm a big sports fanatic. I like to sit around and watch my boxing, and, you know, my basketball and my football.
All right. Well, Booker T, thank you so much for the time here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and Time Warner Cable. Best of luck to you and everything, of course. And until next time, this is Dameon Nelson saying thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
Booker T, that's a big accomplishment. I'm sorry, I'm going to toot my own horn. We have all hailed King Booker.
If you're tooting your own horn, why are you outside?
I'm inside.
I mean, outside the house. Because if I could tune my own horn, I'd never leave the house.
Be sure to check out last week's interview with Christopher
Studio
Davis,
audience.
which is available on this website, pwrshow.com. And make sure you check that out, as it was an interesting interview. What's always good about these is no matter who they're with, you get a lot of insight into the business, and you learn a lot about their character and their person in general. And check out the interview section of pwrshow.com to see other interviews with people such as Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, Chris Jericho, Roddy Piper,
Bobby Heenan,
so many people.
one of my favorites.
WWE Diva, Sunny, Tammy Sitch, all that's on pwrshow.com in the interviews section. Meathead, now it's time for 2-Minute Drill. And this week, our 2-Minute Drill is on TNA Sacrifice. Sacrifice on pay-per-view last Sunday night. Your thoughts on the show?
The show overall was confusing. And not because of what was going on during the middle, even though
Or your
that,
low-level intellect?
you can't even speak. The main event was confusing. If there's a pin in a heavyweight championship match, which was the way it was billed to us, shouldn't the person getting
For
the
the most
pinfall get the belt?
In theory.
Or
They did
just-
backpedal on that quite a bit during the pay-per-view.
match.
Exactly. During the pay-per-view, they did backpedal on that quite a bit, but they never explicitly stated that if whoever won the match would win the belt. It was implied, don't get me wrong, but they never explicitly stated that. But every fan that we've heard from thought that was the case, so bad move on TNA not to make that
But
very
also-
clear before the pay-per-view.
But
on Sunday.
also, you know, you have a pay-per-view where everybody had to sacrifice something, right? McFoley sacrificed
Well,
his belt if he was pinned.
No, you had to sacrifice something to get into the match. You had to put something up to sacrifice to qualify for the match.
That's what I'm getting at.
But it didn't say that everyone in the match had to sacrifice something. See, folks, that's how confusing the match was in the booking of that championship match.
And we're supposed to know about wrestling.
This past Sunday on pay-per-view. Overall, the big argument was Sacrifice better than Judgment Day? 54% of you out there said that it was. We had a poll up at pwrshow.com, and you voted, and that
I
was
had a
the way,
poll up all night. Nobody talked about mine. And
that was the way the voting went. Great match between Beer Money Incorporated and the British Invasion. Now, here's what they've done very smart with the British Invasion. Taken Brutus Magnus, taken all that crap off of him, teamed him with Williams, and made a good team where a very green Brutus Magnus would not show how green he was. This
let me
was a
ask you
good
this.
match.
Brutus Magnus's gimmick that he was wearing, all that garb
Yeah.
that he had on, did he steal that from Finley?
2 minutes are up. Let's move on to PWR Interactive and Meathead. This week we have a lot of emails from all over the world. We'll start with an email.
Somebody's got to get that song again.
Gotta check your email.
Yeah.
I want to get to... Chuck sends this in. Do you think when WWE fired Paul Heyman, TNA should have gotten Paul Heyman as a writer instead of Vince Russo? So she basically had...
that's not a bad idea, but I don't think Paul Heyman would have went for it.
At the point where he left WWE, he had some other projects and said he was done with the business. There's a lot of Vince Russo hate out there, and a lot of people said when Vince went to WCW, and you saw their product didn't get any better when he came over. It got edgier, but it didn't get any better. People said that was because he didn't have the buffer of Vince McMahon to say yes or no to
That's
his
not
ideas.
necessarily true. He had actually creative control or standards and practices at WCW shooting down.
Not initially. Not initially. Remember, they came in later.
Wag
When he
your
first
finger
came
at
over.
me.
when he first came over, that was the big consensus. Was, you could be the best player on a team, but it's the team that surrounds you that makes you even that much better. You can take that best player, put him on another team. That team doesn't necessarily become as successful as the team he was on. So that was one of the things that was said to be a detriment to Vince Russo going to WCW. I think he could have, I think Paul Heyman could have certainly had a good impact in TNA.
No pun intended.
Andrew sends this in. It seems as though Kennedy has returned to look into the title picture and go after Randy Orton. Do you think Kennedy should be the one to beat Orton?
No. I think he should be the one to mix it up in the main event picture for a while.
This from Daniel Pritchard from the United Kingdom says, just emailing to say how I think your show is great in so many ways. It makes me laugh whilst nodding my head in agreement. However, on your May 17th show and your review of Judgment Day, I believe you made many hypocritical remarks relating to WWE and what they shouldn't do, with each of these points being something that TNA has done in the past. You once said that too many people are biased to WWE and hate TNA because of it, but let me say that as a fan of both companies, I believe many people are starting to go pro-TNA, and by doing so, slandering WWE for everything that they do. Now, listen. Very good point,
Don't wag
Daniel.
your finger.
Very good point, Daniel. But I never said TNA didn't do anything I didn't like about the Judgment Day pay-per-view. Never said that at all. You may have interpreted that. But I never said that.
Misconstrued.
Very well then. He goes on to say, does Daniel from the United Kingdom, now this is not an attack on TNA. Far from it. I have much enjoyed their work in recent months. However, to act as if they have no problems whilst WWE is completely flawed is a lie. I agree.
That also can't be true because, obviously this email was written before we started the broadcast of this program. You heard us just slam the Sacrifice main event, which was...
it was a better main event, though, than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Daniel finishes off by saying, I love wrestling. All companies. Something I feel I am not allowed to do due to some fans over criticizing TNA, with some doing the same with WWE. Very well thought out, Daniel from the United Kingdom across the pond. Continuing on with emails, we've got Sam Sabiri who says, are you enjoying Rey Mysterio versus Chris Jericho feud that has been going on? Are you enjoying the Rey Mysterio-Chris Jericho feud?
I liked it in 98, not 2009.
Elliot White says, now it's no secret that John Cena gets mixed crowd reactions from audiences around the world, which begs the question, do you think fans should cheer the good guys and boo the bad guys, or should fans cheer and boo who they want? I always say that fans should cheer and boo who they want because cheering and booing who the WWE wanted them to cheer and boo would just make you a yes man. And that from Elliot White.
We're not talking about Jim Carrey, but you're always supposed to cheer for who you want to cheer, boo who you want to boo, enjoy the show, interact with the show, and maybe if WWE hears who you're consistently cheering, maybe they'll turn that guy from bad into good. They cheered Santino and he got turned around.
And remember, the worst thing you can do, or the best thing you can do if you disagree with something you're seeing? Silence. It's the worst thing that a wrestler can hear, and no reaction is the worst thing. It's better than a
I've
bad
been
reaction.
booed on a consistent basis, but I'm okay with it.
Last email this week in PWR Interactive is from Abbas Nakvi from Dubai. Actually, originally from Dubai, now living in Malaysia. What, do you think I can't read that? I'm good with names. I'm internationally known.
His name is Vash, not Vosh.
I've been known to rock the microphone.
Go.
Being a longtime fan of WWE, I've come to see that this show has gotten a bit stale. They have done everything with Edge, Cena, Orton, Triple H, and Big Show put together. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on how they should set up the following shows? I mean by putting up who against who, so it might be interesting again. Also, it's been a while since any upcoming superstar has gotten passion out of me, like The Rock, Austin, HBK, Triple H, or Taker. So, want to know your thoughts on that. That's from Abbas.
HBK hasn't been an up-and-coming superstar since '89.
Well, but I think what the point is in that email is where's next? We talked about Kennedy Orton. That's a good next. We don't want to see a lot of this recycled stuff that we've been seeing a lot from
We've
WWE.
been seeing a lot.
Which, if you look at any of the matches except for the hog pin match, because that's extreme, the hog pin match, if you look at any of the matches at Extreme Rules, every last one of them except that one is a rematch from Judgment Day. And I get it, add a stip, make it new, fine, whatever, but
And wasn't
it's the same thing.
Wasn't Judgment
Control
Day
C,
wasn't
Control V.
wasn't wasn't Judgment Day nothing more than rematches from Backlash, which were rematches
Somewhere.
from WrestleMania?
Somewhere, but not
So
every match.
They're
Every
all
match but one
tweaked.
so
No,
far.
they're all tweaked. And honestly, we need something different. Now they'll tell us that they're giving us Shelton Benjamin versus John Morrison. That's new. They'll tell us that they're giving us Jericho Rey Mysterio. That's new. They'll tell us that they're giving us, Finley and Swagger, or Christian and Swagger, and mixing it up, Tommy Dreamer and Christian. That's, I don't know, man. We need something else.
You can send your emails to comments@pwrshow.com. Again, that's comments@pwrshow.com. Use the contact link at pwrshow.com, and your emails generally will make air. We also make an effort to respond to every email we get, so whether it be here on this program or via your email account, we are the most interactive wrestling show in the world, and we will welcome those emails at pwrshow.com. The Great Lakes Championship Wrestling Meetup returns to the ring at the Italian Community Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on June 12th. Frank might be there.
Could be there. He's Italian, and he knows people.
Check out the latest editions of the Pro Wrestling Report at pwrshow.com, and obviously on our television network here in southeastern Wisconsin on Time Warner Cable Channel 14. We have a little satirical episode up where
Really?
we do a little bit of a counseling session addressing some of the problems out there with some wrestling fans. It's gotten rave reviews, if you will, whether it be good or bad, but it's the hottest video on the internet, so make sure you check it out.
What say what? It is the...
So proclaimed. Be that as it may, next week, right here on this very program, as Tony Schiavone would say, we have the 2009 Pro Wrestling Report Draft.
Time for Dameon Nelson to
It's
go.
time to
0
shake
and
things up
3.
again.
0-3 for Dameon.
15 superstars. 15 superstars I will pick, Meathead will pick. Anybody is available who is currently active on the WWE, TNA, or Ring of Honor rosters. It'll be a special week next week as we select our wrestlers. for
What I'm wondering,
2009.
and you guys will make comments, what I'm wondering is how is Dameon going to tweak the rules in this little thing to try not to go 0-3?
You're clearly a Republican.
Have you just
You
met
lived
me?
in Florida in 2000, didn't you?
Have you just met me? Go.
Thank you so much for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you this week on the Pro Wrestling Report Radio at 540 ESPN, and coming up again next week with a 2009 Pro Wrestling Report Draft. It's going to be a doozy right here on the Pro Wrestling Report. For the man they call Meathead and the Cause, this is Dameon Nelson saying thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.